Duff, your host.
And I'm producer Barbie.
And together,
we bring you our podcast,
Insights and Straight Talk. And with that, producer Barbie and I are out. Life is a glorious, beautiful thing, isn't it, folks? Hey, here we go again. I've been talking about this all week. I've actually taken parts of other shows and used it to discuss what we're going to be talking about here today with what I'm going to call the back kids. They got a crack up out of that, so I'm going to stay with that a little bit. We've been talking about this for a while, and what's interesting about today's subject show, the experts that are going to be talking about this with us, is the looks like somebody popped on already early. That's a good sign. Thank you for being here. Please like the show, subscribe, all those things that I'm supposed to say. And sometimes I remember to. But at the end of the day, we're here expressing the needs and the empowerment and adding to the information, because the elites have a lot more details and access, and not poo-pooing anything. Just we're here to add that. And as you see the different subjects, it's amazing. And you know what? It's really cool. It's kind of, hey, hold on, Ronaldo. She's a regular. Hit the heart button. Do you guys see a heart? She's been telling me to do this so that hearts come up. I'm going to have to figure that out. So, Ronaldo, I'll get to it. I'm sorry. I'll do it, I swear. At the end of the day, what was I talking about? So all this information's coming along because there's a new world coming, and we need to be the directors, be directing by bringing the people in that we want to represent us. I don't know why I stumbled on that, but there's a lot of things we need to do that need fixing. Today, we have two, literally, their job is outreach to try and get people to just be aware, to know. And not these guys, but there was a truck. I don't know, what do you guys got? Just in this office, each county is required to have an office for this service provision. Is that the right way to say that? Services provided to veterans. And I had on my earlier shirt was an Army shirt. My dad was a Marine. My uncle, same, served 3 tours in Nam. Got a boy that's in the Army. He's a police Army dude. I forgot what they call it. He works at Leavenworth right now. But so everybody within our conversation right now. Oh, wow. Hey, thanks for coming in. We've got a great show for you today. And I want to get this stuff out of the way so we can bring them on. This is about veterans, mental health services, things that are, they'll drive. There's people dedicated there to get veterans from one spot to another. I know the basics of these programs, but what I didn't know is that each county in Illinois, and it may be each state, who knows? Well, maybe people along the way will fill me in on stuff, because the beauty of this show for me is that everybody gets this information. But think about it. You get it, but then I get it. I'm in it, and I get, it's like a water hose flood of information. It's almost like an adrenaline rush for an hour plus every single day. So I selfishly am never going to stop this, because it's like exhilarating to know and learn these things and be able to know that we actually have access, that to inform veterans about things that are being done to increase the message, to be able to build the support, because unfortunately, we spend a lot of money in this country, trillions and trillions of dollars a year. And in a lot of cases, we don't know where a lot of that goes. That's a whole political thing we all know about, and there's whatever going on about it. But at the end of the day, we're having to reach out. I actually chased them down. I saw the truck, took a picture of it, and said, hey, guys, I didn't know about this. What's this all about? We do this veteran stuff a lot. And I don't mean to poo-poo that. I'm just sloppy and in a hurry to get you guys on stage. We do that a lot, and especially a lot with mental health, because there's a lot. And it's something that needs to be taken care of. So with that, I'm going to bring on my back kids. Camera here. You know what I can do? Is that easier?
Yes.
Cute.
Awesome. Yeah.
No, we like each other, but I don't know about that much.
No, that was way too close.
Can you widen it, or does it matter?
Oh yeah, I mean
here.
Oh, okay.
There we go. Now, when I do this,
perfect. Yeah.
see, you can't hear me. I was just talking to you. I can't do that all. So we'll play with that, my friend. We'll play with that. Right away. We have people jumping on. We've got about 104 people in the audience right now. Obviously, this is a subject that's, thank God, better known than the fight you see every day, because you're in the trenches trying to get people to understand about. And you saw all the just here in Kendall County, in the Oswego. You guys are out of Sandwich? No, where are you out of?
We're out of Yorkville.
Yorkville. I love that town. Just right around the corner, as you know. And then there's the beautiful old downtown Oswego, and, along the river, a lot of good stuff going on. So why don't you guys introduce yourselves? Because I'm just going to call you the kids all day long. Okay. So why don't you guys introduce yourself? Start with, remember we talked about, let's go back to a little of the history, not just Kendall County's history, which is important, but the program. This is one of those governmental programs. There's good ones, and then there's ones that get there to serve, maybe don't go all the way. So we got to fill in the cracks in the pavement. Let's start that now. Okay?
Absolutely. So I'll start. My name is Sara Gavin, and I'm the Veteran Outreach Specialist here at the Kendall County Veterans Assistance Commission. And I have Andrew Gagner. He's the Assistant Superintendent and a County Veteran Service Officer as well for us.
Can you guys hold just 1 second? Branson here, who's a regular attender of the show, says, I can't hear you. You can hear me.
Yes.
Yes.
I can hear you. Ronaldo, there's a bunch of people. If they're just, hey, you might want to check your sound. I'm just guessing here. I'm not a IT expert, but check your sound, my friend, because I think we can be heard. And I hope this isn't going on deaf ears. Go ahead.
So my name is Andrew. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for the Veterans Assistance Commission of Kendall County. I'm a U.S. Army veteran. I served a tour in Afghanistan. Going back to Sara, Sara's incredible. We wouldn't have an outreach without her. When I took over this role, our outreach was kind of floundering. But then, Tim and I talked, and we basically wanted to really kind of supercharge our outreach. We started working with Sara while she was still at Hines VA Hospital, doing outreach for them. We were lucky enough to then.
What's Hines?
What's Hines? I know it's the local VA hospital. It's the closest VA hospital for Kendall County. They have a CBOC, which is a community-based outpatient clinic in Aurora. And then, of course, the main hospital, which is in Hines, Illinois, which is basically right next to Maywood off of Roosevelt and First Avenue.
Yep.
And so, but yeah.
In California, the main one's in Long Beach, because I had to do a lot of stuff with my dad, taking care of some things.
Sure. Yeah. So there's multiple major hospitals around here because obviously we have Great Lakes Naval Academy. So I know that there's the Lovell VA, and then there's also Jesse Brown VA hospital, and then there's another VA hospital in Madison, and I cannot remember the name of it, Madison, Wisconsin. So I mean,
that's just over the border.
Right. And we're lucky in that we do have VAs closer to us. Especially, and then there's another outpatient clinic in Joliet as well. We're lucky in that regard, but a lot of times it's difficult for our veterans, even because a lot of our veterans are older, they can't drive, and that's another service we provide, which is transportation. But anyway, kind of going back to her, like, so she was the outreach coordinator for Hines, and we kind of took her away from Hines, luckily, and she joined our team, and ever since then we've.
Did you arm wrestle her out of him?
He poached.
I straight up just poached her. I was like, come work for us.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no. So basically, that's our major goal with a lot of what we're doing right now. There is always, of course, the basic stuff that we do. We do disability claims processing. We do survivor claims processing. We do healthcare enrollments. We have an in-house.
How does that work? What does that look like? So in other words, and I know how paperwork is. I have producer Barbie, and I still have cognizance going on, but you know, that paperwork stuff, how does that work? So somebody needs something, you're in communication with them, and then there's a digital back and forth. How does that work?
Well,
They come in?
A couple facets. So
Okay.
I'm going to take it even one step further back. So the VA structure is in essentially 3 branches. There's the VA healthcare system, there's the Veterans Benefit Administration, and then there's National Cemetery Services. Now, with the VA, you can qualify for one, you can qualify for all of those services. And
Yeah, I know them.
You can kind of mix and match it, right?
Yep.
So we do a couple different things with the VA system. Now, we are accredited through the National Association of County Veteran Service Officers, which is NAC VSO. And that allows us access into utilizing the VA system to see whether it's their healthcare application or if we're doing like a disability, pension, or burial benefit claims.
Do they reach out to you for that, or is that something that is in a trackable, like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm asking. But do they reach out to you when that starts, or how does?
No, so the veteran should be the veteran, the spouse, or any qualifying dependents would have to come to us to initiate that. Now,
I figured that. I was just curious.
So there is certain things that veterans can do on their own in regards to like there's the general VA benefit hotline, and you can do basic stuff off of that. In regards to there's something that's called an intent to file, and it's before you submit a claim, but it's telling the VA that you will be submitting a claim, and it locks in a date. And that's something that veterans can do on their own, but it's something else that we
online.
Say it.
They could do it online. Or they could do it over the phone with the VA.
Okay, that's a big deal right there.
And
right?
that's usually the first part of the claims process.
Makes sense. The comfort, right? I mean, let's face it. You're a bridge, right? You're all sorts of words, but there are different comfort levels. People having to try and figure out. We do AI classes, and there's different comfort levels in technology. So that phone call, you know, that human to human discussion, that talk is very. At least for a first step, it's got to be a big step because it eases the stress a bit, right? I mean, it's got to be that way.
Well, and I'm old school about it, where I like having somebody that I know that I can talk to, like they can hear me out, they can give me advice, but I'm also very much so an in-person individual. So I like to go in for appointments and things like that. I don't like doing, I will do phone calls, but I mean, it takes the humanity out of it because I have a narrow scope.
Face-to-face when you say appointments?
Yes.
Yeah,
level.
Yeah, so we basically, if we have a veteran that is in need, they'll usually kind of like how you did, where you got our number off our van. They'll give us a call. We'll set up a later appointment because we always want to make sure that we are giving enough time to meet with the veteran. We don't ever want them waiting in the lobby, especially veterans with PTSD. So we always we'll schedule an appointment. We'll bring them up. Myself or one of the other VSOs, Matthew Dolmeyer, will sit down with them. We'll talk them through, like, okay, you know, where did you serve? When did you serve? What was your MOS? You know, what issues are you trying to claim? And then we start kind of we basically we'll get them into our system. We'll do any preliminary stuff like an intent to file with the VA. We also do what's called, colloquially, it's called a POA, but it's basically just allows us to advocate to the VA on the veteran's behalf. And then
what does POA mean? Person of authority?
No, it's a power of attorney.
Power of attorney. Yeah,
but that's not exactly what it is, because it's very limited in the scope of what we can do. It's a very limited power of attorney. It just basically tells the VA that the veteran is allowing us to act on their behalf. And so then we get access to their VA profile, and we can see if they filed any previous claims and what the status of that is. And then also it allows us to track a claim when we've submitted a claim for the veteran. And then, so once that first meeting happens, we basically, we give them homework, usually, which it consists of either we're getting them enrolled in VA healthcare and having them go to get established through VA healthcare, or if they have private insurance and they have private doctors, then we basically give them kind of okay, well, this is what you need to talk to your doctor about. This is what information we need to be able to file the claim. And so they do all that work. And then once they're done collecting all that information, and maybe writing a personal statement that kind of talks about, how does the condition affect their daily life, and how it affects their family, how it affects their, job prospects. We then are able to, with our experience, we build the claim for them, and then we'll submit the claim once it's ready to go. And then we'll be in constant contact with the veteran, basically letting them know that, hey, this is where your claim is at, or hey, the VA's.
All right, time out. Okay. I've been trying to jump in here because you covered a lot of stuff, and I was still stuck on the very beginning of what you were talking about, because that broad brush of what you're doing right now, as we could tell, it's complicated and challenging and stressful or whatever, especially the older you get and the less you're dialed in, and if you have PTSD and if you don't have a partner and all those things, that's complicated. But right at the beginning, you had mentioned about filling out forms and what you qualify for, within assistance, meaning, this or that or this or that. And it depends a lot. And I know exactly when you're doing that interview, what was your POS, because there's a lot of things. For instance, my dad, had he got blown up, and a tank blew up in front of him, and he had people. He was in Vietnam for 3 years. That was an ugly war. I mean, all wars are ugly, but we're a hell of a lot better at it now than we were back then. So you know how it is. I don't. So, but when you said that, there's different quote unquote benefits depending on your time in action and different subjects. So not only are you filling out this application, and now you're interviewing, trying to get their information, because it's like college. You have this. It's not like college, but people know what I'm talking about. You can apply for this grant or this, these things that you qualify for because what this country and that situation has put you through. We owe that. And it enables the very barest of ability to add color in the layers of their lives. So I just wanted to touch on that and make sure not just overgloss how difficult that is, because after you get that done, there's a lot of stuff, right? I mean, there's a lot of different things. You guys are reaching, you're reaching out to educate people, our communities. We've already got a couple questions on how they can get involved in local community, in their local, and then somebody else is asking about young kids getting involved. So we've got some stuff to deep dive into, but I want to really color that in because I did producer Barbie and I, when we lived in California, my dad came out, needed, and we took care of him. VA was a big part of our life, and we had to walk all the way through that complicated thing. And now you're saying things that you do that are making people like us, my dad, the folks, the people, the ones that put their lives out for us, you're at least helping walking them through that. It's a lot better now, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm going to double back to kind of a little bit of that beginning portion about the benefits part of it.
Yes.
So there's federal and state benefits. Now, the federal benefits,
Yes.
it's across the board in regards to, a disability rating, whether that's an injury or an illness that encouraged
Okay, thank you.
service
Yes.
or was aggravated by service. Then there's, pensions, and then there's, of course, burial benefits as well. Now, the Benefits Administration has a rating system that they call a service connection that goes from 0 to 100%. It goes in increments of 10%. And they use it essentially as a fraction of a fraction to determine somebody's health condition from that injury or illness that can be related back to service.
And benefits come from those ratings, the amount, the level, right? There's different ratings that, okay, you need to survive because you went through this. Then there's this
to a certain degree.
Oh, no.
No,
okay.
It's a little bit more complicated than that. It's not.
Well, yeah.
It is based on.
I'm digging it. I'm digging in, buddy. I want to know this stuff. So yeah, give me a little bit more detail because none of us know, and you guys are dealing with it every day. And the more we know, the more questions come out.
Yeah. So, for instance, like having a 0% service connection. Let's say, for instance, you twisted your ankle in service. Maybe you got treatment for it. It's not bothering you now, but you still had that injury, that incident in service. So that would be qualifying, for instance, like a 0%, which is a non-compensatable service-connected rating. But let's say you have something much more substantial, like if you had limb loss, if you had, one of the presumptive toxic exposures, if you fall under PACT Act, from your exposure to like burn pits, Agent Orange, toxic exposures like herbicides, pesticides, things of that nature, you could get other service-connected rating disabilities based on those health conditions and the severity of those.
That makes sense. But there's a lot, right? I mean, there's a lot.
There is a lot.
And is that what you were talking about earlier, that you go through that interview? Is that kind of starting to bring some of that stuff out? Is that where that's coming from? Or the purpose, I guess, is a better word?
Absolutely. So we want to look at not only the time period of service, we want to see, if they were deployed, if they were stateside, if they were at certain bases, participated in certain activities. But then it's also looking at your medical problem list and saying, okay, well, if you were in Vietnam, you have hypertension right now. That's a presumptive condition under the PACT Act. It's
there's a lot of that.
Heart conditions, of course, certain ones, and some things are very generalized, like cancers of the head and the neck, things of that nature.
Yeah.
But
the tie-in to the chemicals is always under discussion at best, right?
Oh,
so you're advocating to walk that path, follow that path, right?
At least to see what they qualify for in regards to benefits. But then we're also advocating on, well, if you haven't, been on a registry, if you haven't had your toxic exposure screening with your VA healthcare provider, if you receive those services, well, then let's start having those conversations, because not only are you helping your current fellow veterans, but you're also preemptively helping the next generation of veterans. So not only are we
making the because you're making this because you're making the service more efficient or educated, how you right, the participation in it's like a muscle. The more you use it, the better it gets. In this case, the program gets better. Is that what you were talking about there, alluding to?
A little bit too. So for the healthcare system on the VA side, they have to show, well, we have so many conditions that we're treating, or X amount of veterans receiving services, to try to connect it to something that would be compensatable. So they use that data to present it to Congress saying, hey, we're rendering X amount of services. We're seeing an increased need for it. That's how the next legislation advances for veteran benefits comes about.
So you're changing. Okay. So even when you're helping the next, you guys are gathering that information, compiling that data, and seeing those trends, then going to Congress saying, Congress, we need to bring some of this in because this is what's happening. Let's face it, preventive or any kind of healthcare, actually, in the end, the longer it goes, the more expensive it gets because the conditions get worse. The earlier you start, at least you start. And a lot of this is mental, and like you said, the the Agent Oranges, the chemicals, the fire, all those things, much less PTSD, and all the things that go with it. There's a whole lot out there. So you guys are also, I don't want to say political side, on the legislative side.
We're advocating for the highest extent.
So NACVSO, as well as our local Illinois VSO organization, or state organization, they're more involved in the legislation and stuff like that.
But you got to be receiving the data, right? You're the ones that are receiving the data. Are you working together?
To a certain degree, because we're credited through NACVSO. NACVSO can track our data. And so
there you go.
Yeah, so NACVSO tracks like the claims that we're processing under the NACVSO accreditation. So they're able to track, how many veterans that our organization has seen, and then they can track, what the benefits are for them. They do it by state, and then states that are involved in NACVSO. But yeah, I mean, they use that as well as, because there are advocates too, to like the Senate, the House. They basically are the ones argue on our behalf as well as on behalf of the veterans, to ensure that we're getting proper funding, we're getting proper access to VA systems, so that we can better help the veteran. And again, half of what we do takes a lot of off of the VA itself, because when we're doing the claims, when we're tracking the claims, when we're making sure that the VA has everything that they need for the veteran to help the veteran, it takes a lot of the burden off of them as well. And so it's just that. So NACVSO and IAC, VAC.
Tell them what that is.
Oh, I can't remember the exact.
Thank you.
It's the Illinois Veterans Veteran Service.
So it's the local, the state or regional, and then the national is the VAC.
NAC, National Association of County Veteran Service.
You guys military guys love that stuff, don't they?
We love acronyms.
Alpha, Bravo. Yeah. I love that. I grew up in that. One thing before you go on, I want you to. I'm gonna. We've got like 30. Yeah. Oh, geez.
Yeah, I wanted to address those questions, because I mean we have like a lot of really quick answers to help out. So can I run through the questions?
Yeah, I mean, did you want to finish the acronym comment and then roll into? It's up to you.
Sure.
Whichever way works. I mean, I'm just a moderator trying to fumble my way through your acronyms, which are. I have a thing about voices and names, okay? I think we talked about this a little bit.
Yes.
Now you're throwing acronyms in, and so this is my playland. It's like video game all day long, so I'm messing with that. Let's talk about acronyms and then jump in, because there's a lot of people want to know how to get involved, and that's what you're here for as well, right?
So we're going to start on the local level. So there's the Veterans Assistance Commission, which is the VAC.
VAC.
That's VAC. And
I like
in the state of Illinois, under statute, almost all of the counties have a Veterans Assistance Commission. Now, within our state, we are all associated with the Illinois Association for County Veteran Service Officers, which is the IAC, or Veterans Assistance Commissions, VAC, IAC, VAC. And then we're all under that authority accredited through the National Association for County Veteran Service Officers. So
you guys,
we go through a stringent education process with NACVSO.
Okay, I was going to cut you off, and you said exactly what I was going to say. You guys are dialed in, especially on paperwork and reports, and all of this is needed, absolutely. And now let's roll over my new friends here, and let's talk about some of the things and how people can be locally. I mean, it kind of applies to every one of those VACs, NACs, hacks, and packs, but it also people developing in their own communities it has more, I think personally, I think it has, you send a check to the VAC and that's cool. You get a little warm and fuzzy, but you support you guys in your missions by doing some fun things and as well as doing more. That's another level. And that's why I really wanted to have you guys here, because people want their community to grow, not just some unknown bureaucracy. Don't take this wrong. I don't mean anything by this. Bureaucracy they don't know much about, right? So how about this one? My friend, you wanted to answer this. We held you back because I have a thing, but come on, let's go.
All right. So I just want to run through some of the questions because I see that there's been quite a lot and a lot of questions have kind of the same feel. Yes. So in regards to like assisting us, we really ask that you just send veterans our way. We don't take donations ourselves. Really? So we're established under state statute, and we actually the county gives us a tax levy, and that's what our budget is. So we do not do any donations for our office, but what we can do is we have so many different veterans organizations around Illinois and hell even around the country that we can point people that are interested in helping, we can point them to. Obviously that's more Sarah's thing, but I mean, if anybody wants to reach out to our office saying, hey, how can I help, we can give you a list of awesome organizations, organizations such as Support Over Stigma. That's a big one. There's Midwest Shelter for Homeless Veterans. That's another one. There's
that's an important one right there.
Yes, an important one. And then Illinois Joining Forces is another huge one. They help so many people. So yeah, that's in regard to supporting VACs is in our mission. Just send veterans our way. Let them know that we exist. I mean, if they live if either we're from Illinois, we work a little different than other states in terms of how we operate. But most counties have a veteran services. Whether some are NAC VSO accredited, others are a different accreditation, but they do pretty much the same thing that we do. In regards to a lot of them do transportation, a lot of them have in-house programs for assistance and stuff like that. Different things like that nature. So yeah, I mean that's basically how they can assist us is tell veterans about us. I mean, tell veterans to reach out to their local veterans services, veteran assistance commissions. I mean, that's how people can help us to spread our word.
Yeah, and I'll just add some things because you guys are actually. I went out and did my scrape job and pulled as much information about you guys specifically, but there's a lot of programs. I think the information you and I were talking about earlier in the week when we kind of set this up was they can also go and participate in those things because those I'm going blank on any of the names right at this second, but there's a lot of local fundraising and awareness things. Participation in those is also easy and another way to go with that. And then obviously being a national .org, it's not like people can come in and volunteer to answer phones at the desk or anything like that. So I get that structure, unless there's programs. I don't know.
So they can always volunteer if they want to come and hang out with us at an event. We're always looking about getting extra support, and then even just being involved in our local community, so kind of going on to the next thing that kind of came up was service over self. That's kind of our Logan. Yes. It's what we live by. But, it's not only about what we can do for veterans, their family members. It's about what we can continue to do for our community additionally. So we're part of Kendall County Triad, which is for like senior services. They have a Triad picnic coming up at the Kendall County Fairgrounds, and
3 different organizations. Is that
different organizations
come together?
They come together and they help with senior services. And we're just going to go and help them set up their picnic. I mean, it's simple things like that.
You could tell that senior services are daily becoming more important to me personally. So any of those because I know how challenging things get as you get, young and energetic and support and all that is real big. And then as you start to have all that experience and start to retire and start to do the things that you do, as your abilities are aging, having that this kind of conversation and outreach is awesome. What about the younger generation getting involved? Is it the same thing? Is there programs that
volunteering? There's volunteering. I mean, really, again, if any young people, from teenager all the way up to early 40s like myself, want to get involved. I mean, really just reach out to our office. We can point you in the right direction of a whole bunch of different organizations that, Operation Support the Troops is another good one. That was one that my mom actually volunteered at when I was in Afghanistan.
That's not connected to you. That's an organization.
No, it's an outside organization. But
we do a lot of work with them. Well, not them, but we do a lot of work. I think we talked earlier. We get this is the first time we've been able to step up to a national supported organization, that because we work with a lot of who you're talking about now, where people come and they've started support organizations for mental health. That's not a .org. That the people that came from that created that mission because it became their journey. So there's a lot of that around, and it just this kind of thing connects the dots, man. It just connects the dots to be able to know where that outreach is. So yes, letting veterans know is something we got to do. It's not like don't run up to every person you see with short hair and say, "Hey, do you know about?" But anybody let's get that information going, because it's information. But then the more you get the information, the more comfortable you get with it, and the more you're able to utilize it. You get what I'm saying there?
Absolutely. So for Veterans Assistance Commissions, everything that we do is free. And that is under state and federal statute. We will never charge anybody, whether it's, in regards to their federal, their state benefits, or in-house assistance either. So like our in-house assistance program, we support for like rent and mortgage, we help with utilities. And of course that's income based, but those are some of the things that we do. And then additionally, we do transportation to all the VA medical sites for appointments, and then even local medical appointments too. And we can't cover every need of the veteran, but that's where our resource hub comes in. And that's where our community organizations, our nonprofit organizations, we could do warm handoffs to. So that way, even if it's not the veteran, maybe it's the
that's
family.
What you were talking about.
Mm-hmm. We can turn them over to and say, hey, we know these good folks. We talked to them. We vetted them. You're in good hands.
Wow. That's awesome. That is very cool. Local communities, I think we're still in the similar vein. You were talking about that earlier, my friend, that some of these questions are in similar bones. I think people are doing what I like doing, and kind of just dig around and see, how that all works. And that's sad. It's really sad. Not you, Brent, and thank you, by the way. And by the way, thank you, Dirk. I wanted to go back and hit a couple of these people and say thank you for your questions. But what I was saying, Clayton here, for example, we've talked about this a little bit. Clayton, thank you. But we don't know that we should. I mean, let's see, we know how our school system works. That's important. We're fixing that, hopefully. And we talked a lot about that earlier because there's so many different systems out there. But this is then at the end of the day, if we don't have that protection, the world depends on America. And that's not being egotistical. It just does. It always has. And that creates complications for us. It creates all sort of political strife. All sorts of stuff happens. But we need to be strong. And we need to also, with those threats, be strong within our borders. Our government basically the main focus should be on protection and infrastructure and, things like this. But that protection comes back because you notice there's a lot of people that, 9/11, everybody came rushing to be there. Now we have this infrastructure thing that isn't really as robust as it should be, and that softens the ability for our services, men, women, I almost said children, no, men and women, to have that backup that they deserve and that they didn't sign up for, but like firemen, they run to the fight, and all the rest of us back up and let them do it. And that's what we're protecting here.
And that's
Military,
our goal
more than
as
fire.
well. You know, we
Yep.
want to stay abreast of everything, and we want veterans and their families to know that, you know, we're staying on top of the legislative changes locally, you know, within the state and nationally. And we want to ensure that if we can get you something that you earn through your service, then we're going to go the extra 10 miles if we have to make sure that you do have access to that and the knowledge of it, even as that legislation changes.
Yeah.
Going back to that question on like national programs modeled after
Yeah.
us, there are in some states, not all, some states do have programs that function very similarly, or they'll work in conjunction with the national, so the Department of Veterans Affairs. Those would be, for instance, like for Illinois, it's the Illinois Department of Veterans Affairs. So they're another kind of organization. They kind of help with the claims process. They help with, you know, if you're homeless, if providing that home, you know, assistance in regards to finances. They kind of act like a conduit as well. I always say come to your local VACs because, you know, it's more personal. You're going to have a better interaction. You're going to get your story heard and you're going to be understood. No offense to the IDVA. I know they do good work, but your local.
On that same point, just a little bit more. What, you know, you talk about people, case study workers that are, you know, helping the people in need. How's your quote unquote case studies, your workload? Is it the same? I mean, where's the struggle? Where's the pain points within not only your organization, but also the national organizations? Is it running better? Where are pain points that sit into that? Because that's how you start to understand. Be curious, right? Don't be judgmental, just be curious. Mm-hmm. That's what what are your pain points?
So in regards to kind of going to, you know, obviously we're all aware that the federal government's going through some stuff right now. And so that's why offices like ours at the county level are so beneficial, because we're maybe the VA lacks. We try to pick up the slack. We make sure that, you know, veterans aren't falling through the cracks, and that kind of goes, you know,
that's
to what
huge.
Sara was saying, that we're looking at the whole veteran. You know, we're looking at anything from transportation, medical, and this is talking about outside the VA. So local organizations that are working, that work with us, or that we've partnered with, that we can, you know, utilize when maybe the veteran is not getting the access that they need through the federal, you know, organization and stuff like that. So, I mean, that's really what we're trying to.
Okay. So you actually.
That's what we're trying to create at our level. And I think it's unique than other VACs or veteran services, is because we're trying not to just focus on the VA anymore. We're trying to focus on the local communities and how they can help our mission how we can help theirs.
That's big. That's big, big, big. Now you educated me on the first 5 minutes in our phone call that we had to kind of see how we wanted to talk about this, right? The points of interest and so forth. And here, Ronalda, her dad was 30 years in the Marine Corps. My dad, 22 years. You know, there's a lot of us out there that unfortunately, I had no idea. Is there any reason why Illinois, kind of interesting, is there a history there, or is it just what it is? Why every county in Illinois, and maybe it is every state, I don't know, but is there a history behind that? Why Illinois? Why every county? I mean, it's
being,
awesome.
being born and raised in Illinois, I have like my own opinions on Illinois in general. But one thing I can say that Illinois has done phenomenally in terms of legislation that's passed and other resources available is Illinois is by far one of the most veteran-friendly states in the country.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in regards to the, say for example, veterans' preference for state jobs. I mean, it's incredible. And then there's,
yeah, it's true.
And then, disability rating, like property tax exemptions. If you're 30% disabled, they'll give you $2,500 off your estimated assessed value for your property taxes. If you're at 50%, they'll give you $5,000 off your estimated assessed value for property taxes. And then at 70%, you're exempt from all property taxes.
Wow.
And so, I mean, there's so many things that that includes, the legislation passed that stated, if it was in 2023, when the VA or the VACs celebrated their 20 years of existing because of the legislation that was passed that created our offices. And so all VACs work a little bit different, but there is a standard of what services that we provide, and we're trying to go outside of that to where we're going that extra mile to get even more services that we can provide as an office. And that makes us different than some of the other VACs out there that have that focus on the needs of their community and what they might require.
I want to come back to Ronaldo's question here because her dad was a Marine. My dad was a Marine. That's that we're gonna give that as much airtime. I know you have some Marines in your group too. So
we do, but
and a Navy mom. I know. I've got a son who's in the Army, so but I just wanted to throw that out there. I think there's a Navy mom in there as well. So yeah, the services all protect. How do veterans find out about this? Like website info. I told you earlier too, by the way, I want you to, at some point before we wrap up to put all your contact information, because happens, we have like 300 and some odd people on right now, but a month from now somebody else is going to watch, or and they're like, wait, what does that mean? So leave that there, and I'll push them to you because you're the expert, not me. Just sometime while we're here. Go ahead.
So kind of going to Ronaldo's question, I would recommend that she contact us directly, because we'll be able to a lot of the benefits that exist are dependent on what service you were in, did you deploy, what were you exposed to,
right?
And and like 30 years, so that means most likely the veteran was retired. So if the mom needs help with like TRICARE and stuff like that, like that's something that we'd have to talk offline about, because we really don't want to get into the weeds of personal cases during this, because we want to be kind of vague in general. But I would highly recommend, I mean, I don't know where Ronaldo's located in the States. I mean, if she is in Illinois or not, but she could still call our office and we can point her in the right direction of who she needs to reach out to, and what exactly might be available that's out there, because there are a whole bunch of different programs that are out there. But then when it comes to where the veteran is located, it might depend on what state they're in and what state run benefits exist.
Colorado and North Carolina, but let's not get into the weeds, because I know.
Right. So I mean, I would highly recommend she call our office and ask for either Sarah or myself.
Your contact information again.
Yes, we will. I promise. We will get that to you. We just don't want to cut it off while we're doing it. But yeah, we will give you all of our contact information, because one thing about me is I don't care if you're in our county or not. The only thing that's restricts what I can do for somebody. No, but the only thing that restricts what we can do is we need to keep county money within the county. So like, say if we have in-house assistants and stuff like that, we can't go outside the county with that. But in terms of
Yeah, hell
questions.
yeah. That's my tax dollars you're
Yeah.
throwing around
that
there.
out,
So
don't worry.
I'm raw on what you're saying right now. I get you. I feel you, brother.
But yeah, no, but in regards to questions, we have veterans from, I mean, I've helped a veteran in the state of Oregon. I've helped a veteran. I'm currently still helping a veteran in Ohio right now. And then I've had, contacts with other ones in Las Vegas and all over. I personally, my job, my whole passion in life is to make sure that I'm spreading the good word, and I'm making sure that veterans, their spouses, their dependents, their family members, they have all the resources that they need. So I will take a call and I will talk to somebody for hours about their specific circumstances. And I don't even care. I don't care if they're in California. I don't care wherever. They can call our office, because we want to help veterans. That is my goal in life. As a veteran myself, I've been through the process. I know it's an absolute dumpster fire when it comes to getting the paperwork set up, getting the information that you need, the contact, like some VSOs are a little less responsive than other ones, and, or other organizations kind of, they'll do the bare minimum. That's not how I operate. And that is how, and that's what I've instilled into her. That's what I've instilled into our other VSO, Matt, that we exist to basically make sure that we're making the biggest impact that we can for our communities. And whether it be the veteran community at large, or obviously, we've got to focus on the Kendall County veterans, but just in general, it's like, we want to make sure that people know that no matter what, when they call us, we are not going to leave them empty-handed, or, leave them without the information that they're looking for. We will find it for you, or we will point you in the direction of the person that can give you the information that you need.
Well, I can tell you this. I guarantee you that everything you just said is absolutely true, because I experienced it myself. When I finally, and it's kind of shadows the points of what we're talking about. Sorry, I have an itch right on my lip, and I know I keep doing that, but it's driving me nuts, and I don't know what it is, but it's
the mustache, man. I have the same itch. I got the same.
Oh, thank God.
I don't.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's good. If you did, we'd be joking a lot more. I'm just saying that, So at the end of the day, we have you scrolled on the comments that are?
Yeah. No, I'm trying to.
Holy
I want to be able to.
No, it's okay. I'm just let's just roll through these here. Just roll through a couple of these. We've already talked about this to a degree. Is it so let's say let's stay local for right now. Okay,
Sure.
That's fair enough. Because I think we've got some things that could be answered 4 different times, because the further you go up the ladder, there's resources still. So right. So the only reason I'm saying that is because you're in my hood. We're here, so we got a little, but it's all the same steps, maybe different addresses, steps. So let's stay local here. And how do veterans find out about these events and resources? So you're going to put in the contact information. Yes. See, I'm harping, and I know you'll do it. So I'm just scared to have to work more after you're gone, in a week, and people are still asking questions like this. And then maybe somebody on the street goes, "Hey, what's about that veteran thing?" And I don't know. By the way, I do slip out one of those every now and then, so I hope I'm not offending anybody. But you're in the military. I think I'm thinking, All right. So how do they find out about the resources? Your website, you're calling you, put it in, but let's talk. What website address? So Richard gets, right now he might be.
Sorry, I'm messing around with the computer, so it might be screwing up our thing. I'm just trying to dump connect, right? No.
Hold on. All you got to do is where the comments are, there's a private chat.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Copy and paste into that. Now it won't show up. I don't know why I don't know why they make me do extra work, and it really pisses me off. But if you click that, you copy and paste the information you want. I will then copy and paste it into the comments. That way it's in the comments.
Perfect.
And it's sealed for history, all digital history. But in the meantime, While I think you're typing it in, Sarah, it looks like.
Yes.
Sis.
We're copying and pasting a whole bunch of different stuff. Just to make sure it's all there.
Perfect. Well, when it gets there, and if I need to add, I get a little red button, and there it is. Wow, that was good timing. So tell the numbers, tell the addresses. We've got. You know what? These are the most. I do a lot of these, right? We have still 300 people, and this is the most questions, comments, interact, and we always get good interaction. But I told you it depends on what people are looking for, and what. And this is important. This is tied to our DNA as a citizen of the United States or citizen of anything, anywhere. Protection is there's local, and then there's the country, who we also protect the world basically from screwing each other up, and because that hurts us. At the end of the day, this is where the base of all human, I call it the human experience, exists. So resources, you typed them in, you talk. I'm going to now do the cut and paste or copy and paste.
You do your thing. So if you actually go on kendallvets.org, that's our website. We have all of our direct contact information if you're looking for somebody in particular in our office. It has our office phone number, but it also has a list of our upcoming events. Now, we're very fortunate that with the connections that we have in Kendall County, we're on the community forum for WSPY radio station. They can access us online. They can send us emails. We have at all our local senior centers where we can participate and have our information.
Wait. Go on in a second. I just pasted that over. But you guys do a radio show every week?
No, once a month.
Once a month, but you do a radio show.
It's a local radio station, WSPY.
Like this?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's quick though. It's like 15, 20 minutes long. We just we explain who we are, just to remind everybody.
That's my goal in life.
In the office.
Be a radio.
And then we'll also talk about upcoming events that we'll be at. WSPY.com. I think you can find the local. I think they post our little community forum program. So, but yeah.
So go into what you're saying, but while you're talking, look, I at the very bottom, I copied and pasted. Oh my God, I didn't do it. Oh, I copied and pasted each one. Make sure I didn't make a mistake. We got a lot of time to fix that. So go ahead, Sarah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. We also have where the newsletters for our senior centers, they'll advertise our events, our flyers, and then they always have our general contact information. We are connected with all of our county resources as well. So like the health department, the sheriff's office, we have a veteran court liaison. So if veterans do have trouble and they're going through veterans court, the probation officers know to connect with our office automatically. And we do have an individual, one of our county service officers is our court liaison to help assist them with that process. Otherwise, I mean, if you're looking for other events and resources, I would probably say it's just best to reach out to us, whether it's a phone call, a text, or an email. Because if you're looking for more broader resources on the national or state level, we can give you more specifics for where you're located at.
So you just said text.
I was going to correct her on that. I didn't realize landlines take texts.
You can text our personal
They
number.
do. You
website. Well,
you actually can. I don't know how it works. I have on my phone. To her defense, I have on my phone. I don't know where my phone is, but now my IT guy put a software in there. So when people call that aren't in my contacts, I do text call, and it sends out a text to voice translation that says, "I'm doing this. If you want to continue the call, tell me, give me the info." Because we all get this, right? Spam calls. I mean, shit. A third of my calls are junk.
Yeah.
But the contacts I know, so I'm good. But anyway, so just a little defense there. Technically, I think you can. I don't know. Who knows?
Well,
but
I don't have an office line, so you could text my cell.
All right, good.
Yeah.
But that's dangerous. Just remember, there's 8.7 billion people on the earth right now. having your phone number out there could get a little nutty.
Well, it's on the website, so it's no different. I guess.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Never mind. I never
They are
mind.
more than welcome to. If they want to buzz and talk, I'm not that bad.
No. There's a lady in New York who we had this discussion. She's a fashion designer in New York, Oprah Winfrey kind of thing. She has her freaking cell phone on. She was giving it out left and right because she wants people to come. That's the beauty of the people that come to the show. Or fortunately, in my case, I found you guys.
Oh yeah.
And then it boom. Who did I call? I called you, and you picked up the phone. I'm the right guy. I go, okay. Something's good here. That was awesome. So I know we already talked about Ronaldo. By the way, you embarrassed the crap out of me because you for the very first time said her name correctly, and I know her. And for 3 months, I was calling her Ronaldo. I couldn't see the A. It was an O. And right out of the gate, you do it. And I know next time I hear from her, she's going to go, see, it's not that hard. It's really not that hard. She said, yes, you can roll because I play with people's names. That you roll the R, but Rod, there's an A at the end. I'm like, oh God. And then I got it wrong a couple more times because it was stuck in my head. So thank you for that. So thank you for reminding her of that. All right, let's move on. So like I said, this is the one, my good sir, that you said, let's not get in the weeds on this, but to contact you, Ronaldo, because her dad's passed. Her mom, is still trying to struggle with what those resources that are available and earned. It's like anybody, right? You gotta figure stuff out. So what you're talking about is a great service, and if they can give you a holler off your thing, and then you can direct them to, I don't know. I don't know where her mom is. I should not. Are you going to get mad at me about that now, Ronaldo? All right. So moving on, we're going to go here. Appreciate the insight. How do we donate or volunteer? We talked about this, Ariel. There is now you when you donate your time or money, you're really going to these events that we've talked about a couple of times already. Isn't that kind of how, right? Just to refresh on that. Add a little more color in there to Ariel. Is that how you donate to the locals? Oh, did we lose you? Uh-oh. Oh, no. That was a great job. You guys froze. Hello, can you hear me? Okay. So, Ariel, I'm going to fill in that information. They're back. I think I just heard them.
What happened?
Oh, yeah. You were blaming me earlier there, Sara. Uh-huh. All right. Let's have a little thing about that. So back to what
I swear.
Well, no, when we were talking, I said, you hear me, you see me, you go through the limited little technical stuff. As you can tell, we don't spend all of our energy on it. But you accused me of freezing and come right back. And I'm like,
you know what?
Yeah, you guys just left. You guys said, hey, this guy is an...
Yeah, we're at my house and my internet is terrible. It's my fault.
We got direct internet. But I know what you were doing. You're going, this guy's a freaking idiot. I'm done. Let's get out of here before he embarrasses us too much more.
First you make me wait 20-something minutes, and now this.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We did start off on the wrong foot there, didn't we? I asked people to come 7 minutes early, and you referenced that. But we booked it for 10:30, and I think in the email I said 10.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked that something happened there, but I've got like 7 to get in that are on the calendar that need all those invites, and I'm just a bald head old guy, so I'm trying to make it happen. Shit happens. So Ariel, you guys said you didn't have a hard stop, right? We're a little over an hour now. We got.
Okay. Oh yeah, I mean, as long as you want to go.
Oh my God. Guys, look at. All right, I'm gonna. we're family. I'm talking to the audience, not you guys right now. We're family here. So, and you know, at times I really get irritated because these kids and I are having a conversation and we're being interrupted by your rude comments and questions. And if you would just let us go through this, we can get the information to you. They know I'm screwing around, so relax, guys. I didn't just piss off 300
who
people.
wrote something nasty? Can we
I swear
to spicy.
I swear to God, that's just something every once in a while I try.
Email now.
Yeah, right. Like, oh boy.
No, I get it regularly. I was late 10 minutes to a time, and the first comment out of the gate, when you heard the guy say, "Hey, I can't hear you." This is family. This isn't, we're not doing interviews where everybody just sits there and goes, "Oh, okay." We jerk, we poke at each other every now and then, and that's fun to me. So that was that. Then I saw a frozen thing, and I go, "No, it's not happening again." And then I saw the nervousness in your eyes, and I went, "Oh shit, I went the wrong direction on that." Trust me, you're good. You're good. Trust me. See, there's a few more people on now. So to the point. As far as the insight, I mean, thank you for appreciate the insight. But that donation we're talking about, it's mainly through your events, not really directly into your offices because you can't take money, right?
It would be it would be one of our organizations that we work with because there's a lot out there that, I mean, some of them are losing grants even. And so they are going to need the extra, donations from private individuals. So, I mean, like I said, and like Sara said, if there's any, if there's anybody that like wants to reach out to us, we can point them in the right direction. If they're out of state, we'll do the research and we'll try to find, an organization near them that they could donate to or volunteer with. I mean, really like, because again, we're all about like the networking. If we can help connect people with other people, I mean that's what we want to do because that's
your wheelhouse, right? Yeah. That's your wheelhouse. You know that term. You're in Illinois. First time I heard it out here, I was like, "What the hell's a wheelhouse?" That's right in your center, man. That's where you live and flourish. That's awesome, and it's critical because of what's needed. I didn't know if you wanted to finish anything off that point, and I don't really understand. Well, I don't know if you guys even look at this as far as because other countries are and then there's extreme cases. But let's say, Europe, the way they do and they have to do something, obviously. Do we have any idea? You guys do reports at a national or whatever level, governmental level to see how you can replicate that if it's not already being done? Or is it like, and then we'll just move on. Damien, we're giving it a shot here. I have no clue.
Well, I think it says counties and not countries.
Oh, jeez. See what I mean? All right. Hurry up, talk. Cover.
I feel our outreach model is unique because, really it's because of Sara. I mean, because Sara has such, not only did she work for, outreach for the VA, but like the way in which she did it was so unique and so beneficial to not only our county but every county she served. Because really, like, wow. she's a bulldog in like how she reaches out to organizations, gets contact info, gets a point of contact, builds a relationship with them. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. And honestly, like,
are you saying our outreach there? Are you saying there's a countable difference between? Okay, getting back on page here, getting in different counties, there's a difference in the way, the ability to outreach because we've got more energy going on here. Is that what we're saying?
Yes, wow. Very much so. So by state statute, VACs have to do a certain number of things. Sure. But then there's certain VACs that are going above and beyond. Not to toot our own horn or anything, but we're definitely trying to be better than, just doing the basics of, claims processing and transportation and all this other, and our the basic, in-house stuff that we do. We're trying to create like such a larger community-based model and relationships with our community that we have more resources to provide our veterans. And so a lot of VACs don't do that because either they don't have the staff or their mission is different. But for us, I mean, that's what we want to do is we want to make sure, because there are so many beneficial organizations out there that, I mean, hell, Sara had a meeting with equine therapy, horse therapy, and trying to get, veterans involved in that. And then
that's cool. I love horses. And
yeah, I'm going to let Sara tell it because I'm kind of just talking her up right now. But I mean, really, it's really her. I mean, and honestly, I wish every VA
do it with me. Do it with me. Come on.
Right. But no, because honestly, like her drive and her drive as well as her just like tenacity of like, I mean, within the first couple days of her having the job and having an email address, she shotgun blasted, to over 150 different organizations that service veterans all over the country, to get contacts with them and build relationships with them so that we can put that in our toolbox so that if we have a veteran that needs something specific that we have, it's a one call thing. We're like, hey, we need to put a veteran up for tonight, or hey, we need food, or we need clothes. And I mean, Sara just like basically like all I have to do is be like, hey, Sara, I have this veteran that needs blank. And she's like, okay, well, here's 5 organizations that, and I'm going to send an email to them right now and we'll figure it out. I mean, that's how it's supposed to be. But unfortunately, with either budgetary constraints, time constraints, personnel constraints, a lot of VACs can't do that. And a lot of veteran services can't do that, even if they want to, because it's difficult to set that up. And I mean, because of Sara's just a background.
What you just said, the words, because it's difficult to set that up, I think defines a great deal of why we're because how people are is important. And just to finish your comment, but inject in there, would you please? Are we talking like the 80-20 rule, where, you know what I mean? 20% of the people do 80% of the work, and 80% do, is that, or is I'm not. Okay, this might not be a question that you want to answer, but I'm just curious. You said not everybody's like this because of this, and this.
I'm going to generally say that there, and I'm not going to point out VACs, but just in veteran organizations, there is the people, and I would say it's probably, I would probably say it's 90% of the people, like organizations out there, are solid, that are doing the work that you'd want them to do. But cool. Yes, there are. I'm
surprised by that.
Garbage organizations that exist out there that spend more money on their CEOs than they do on the actual outreach and help the veterans. I'm not going to name names, but they exist, and unfortunately, sometimes they tend to be the bigger ones that exist out of there. And so
I'm going to say something that you don't want to say, because I've started to think, especially over the last, and I'm not going to name any names, but we're all going to know what we're talking about. When you say the big ones, I always get concerned when people advertise on TV, spending whatever millions of dollars to help. There's a number of them. I think that's what you're referring to. And it really sucks, because the people doing most of the work are the ones that I need to chase down like an ambulance chaser to try and find. And we have outreach. That's your big thing. How many times you guys run commercials on national TV?
We don't, because I mean that we want to spend our money on our veterans. Like that's our goal. Like we don't want to spend money on like, just things that don't matter. And I mean, yeah, could it get our voice out there a little higher? Could it maybe reach? I'd rather do the legwork myself, where I'm going to, or that Sara and I are going to 100 different events, and we're getting and we're spending our time there, than we would to spend money, our budget, not on veterans, but on, advertisement on, the local news stations or whatever. I mean, and that's why, say our relationship with now you and WSBY is so important, because you are giving us kind of a free platform to spread our word, and we're grateful for that.
And you don't have that. The reason I brought that story up, and you know why, but you also made a comment that was to get their CEOs a bonus, and that, commercials. I'm sorry. Advertising brings more people, masses wise, and then that number, is it really go? I've heard stories. Now this is, I think, gotten a lot better, but back in the day, people in that area, it'd be like 10% go to the vets and 80% or 90% go to everybody else. The organization. I'm sure it's not that extreme, but it's frustrating to have the people that have the numbers in reverse here, and mainly because they don't have that advertising. And it's important for us all to chase after you guys and give you that free platform, because there is actually work being done. But imagine if the two things were swapped, and the big organizations, not the national level stuff, but the people that are doing the work. And I'm sorry, the national level, does equally good work, but it's all taxpayer stuff. So it's lower dollars, and it's scary. And it just wish it was in reverse there. That's not realistic, but I had to say it because it really did sound pretty good.
And I agree with you, because honestly, there's a lot of organizations out within the veteran community and outside the veteran community. I mean, like, anytime you donate, let's just say you go to a store and you buy something, they're like, do you want to round up your money to a local charity or whatever? It's the same thing where like 80% is going to the people that work there, and not to the actual, service or, whatever that they're providing. And it's gross.
Hungry children, children, houses for the poor, all these. Sorry, I'm shutting up. Could you use the word gross? Finish that sentence.
I think it's gross, because
yes,
the whole point of those things exist is because we're there to help people, and that's where our money should be spent. Yeah, and that's how we feel about it too. And so, and obviously we work differently because of, we're a nonprofit organization that's semi-county level, whatever. But, we want to make sure that all the money that we spend is to the benefit of our veterans. We're not, we don't get paid big bucks for this. Because we want to make sure that the money in our budget is going to our, programs that are supporting our veterans.
Yeah, well, and you're well, you don't get paid big bucks for this, and that's a bummer. But your mission, we all want to make an easier life to live so we can continue our mission. That's the whole concept. So when you say that we don't get, but you're drawn to.
No, I'm not. So I don't want you to.
No,
think
I know.
I'm just saying. I was just saying that, like, I'm not trying to pad my. What my take home pay,
absolutely.
Just to on the on the backs of the veterans that I'm trying to serve. Like, I want to make sure that like the money that we spend, and I know our superintendent's the same way, that we're trying to make sure that the money that we spend, every single dollar is to the benefit of our our organization's mission, and then our veterans. And that's really how we operate. And that's how most all VACs operate. I know that for a fact. And then, other service organization or, like county level veteran services, they operate that same way too, because, budgetary constraints, but also, making sure that the dollars that they spend are going towards the veteran or the mission of the organization.
Hopefully you get audited and don't lose $1 billion out there too. I don't know where it is. So are the mentorship are there, I alluded this earlier. I don't even know if we got to it because I probably wandered off the subject. But in high school, the police have those things, those programs. And actually, every one of my boys have been involved in it. It's awesome just for character building, if nothing else. And they're also in sports at work. They're old now. You think I'm old? So the for younger vets through the VAC. So like mentoring people, and then maybe mentoring and to extend past that, are there any programs in like school systems that are similar to the, because I want to kind of add to Rot's great question, Rot, but that's something I've wondered. I don't know that it exists, but I'm curious.
Well, some VACs have that capability if they're already in like a social work program or something of that nature. It's a very tricky and slippery slope because we do have to maintain HIPAA compliance. So generally, we don't do a lot of mentorship programs unless they're doing an internship specifically. Our office does not have that capability at this time, but there have been local VACs that have. But I would recommend a lot of the colleges and universities, if they're using their GI Bill or their post 9/11, things like that, if they have veteran services, they can go through veteran services and receive some sort of mentorship through them as well. So I would say just check out your local colleges and universities if you're enrolled.
Excellent. Excellent. What is the biggest challenge veterans face when applying for benefits? Again, I think some of these are, to your point, sir, earlier, a lot of these are still poking at similar topics. In that when what are the biggest challenges? And I think a lot of it is the paperwork is one of the biggest challenges and how to wade through that. Anything you want to add to that?
It's the education on what is available, because you're just trying to access your federal benefits. You might not know what you're entitled to, whether it's the education piece and you're passing down any benefits to your spouse, your dependents, things of that nature. And then every state has varying programs. So it's the knowledge of, what is local to me and what's accessible in the VA system on the federal level, but then knowing where to go to find that information.
I'm gonna focus more on the disability claim process and the issue with that in getting benefits. Yes. So I always tell, when a veteran comes in, I say there's 4 things that you need for a successful claim. And so the first thing is you have to have something that was diagnosed or, seen for in service. So there needs to be something like an event, an injury, exposure, or illness that you suffered in service that has been documented in your service treatment records. Okay. Now for say something like PTSD, that could just be a deployment. Like that thing that happened could be a deployment overseas. The second thing is you need a current diagnosis. So when I say current diagnosis, I mean like it has to be something that has been diagnosed from a doctor. And then the third thing is it's called a nexus. And the nexus is the connection between the current diagnosis and the thing that happened in service. And then the fourth thing is continuation of care, because you cannot call something a disability without, having continuously needing treatment for it. And so that is what the VA is looking for when you're filing a claim for benefits, for disability, type benefits. And so the problem with, I would say, a lot of the older vets, not so much the newer vets, the older vets, the Army and the Marines and the Air Force, the Navy used to be pretty hardcore, where they're like, rub some dirt on it, whenever you got hurt or when you got sick. And so things weren't properly documented. So then you're trying to build a claim without that number one thing. And so then the next 3 things need to be that much stronger in terms of, a diagnosis, and then your doctor, because what we ask for when we say a nexus is we want a nexus letter from a doctor. So basically a doctor saying that this current condition that you're suffering from is more likely than not, or high likely or directly related to this injury or this thing that you experienced in service. So, one of the big ones is back and knees. I don't know a soldier or a sailor, an airman, whatever, that does not have some issue with their back and knees due to the military. The problem is if they just limped it off and stuff like that, they won't have something in the record. So then we have to get them one seen. We have to, so that's where either getting them enrolled in the VA comes in, and and having them seen by a doctor, or getting them to be seen by their private doctor. And then so basically it's building that evidence of documentation, and then a doctor basically saying, yes, it is my professional opinion that your condition, your knee condition, your arthritis in your knee, or your weakness, pain, whatever, is due to, ruck marching daily, or running daily, or getting, blown out of your Humvee, or, whatever. And so that's the most difficult part, is getting veterans, getting together, like pulling all that information that you need, because again, it can be a long process. Because there's another thing where a lot of doctors don't like to, put their names on things, especially VA doctors, which is unfortunate, because there's, sometimes for veterans, that's the only healthcare they're getting, but they don't want to write those nexus letters. So we might have something that occurred in service. We might have, a current diagnosis, and we might have continuation of care. But then if we don't have a doctor saying that the thing that they had in service is related to the thing that they have now, it's not, the VA will say, well, then it's not related.
It'll reject it.
Yeah. And so that's another thing which we do, is we also do appeals, and we also do higher level reviews, or supplemental claims and higher level reviews, which are appeals. The supplemental claim is where you need new and relevant information, which could be a diagnosis, a current diagnosis, and then a nexus letter. And then, or in terms of like toxin exposure, and how veterans, might be eligible for benefits based on, either a deployment, or, maybe their MOS exposed them to jet fuel or solvents, or, maybe they were at one of the many contaminated bases and posts out there, that, they then come down with a condition that the VA hasn't automatically stated is related. And so now we have to find research journals that say, okay, yeah, if you're exposed to jet fuel for however long, it's going to cause you to have cognitive issues. It's going to cause you to have breathing issues. It's going to cause you to have all this. And we might just have to, if a doctor's not willing to say it, we might have to try to fight it, where then that's where we come in, where we're basically creating this argument, this reasonable doubt for the VA, that we're
kind of a legal system.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And so we have to basically make a case for this person. And, sometimes I've been successful, and the VA accepts that, and the VA examiner, the ones that are examining the veteran after they've submitted a claim, will say, yeah, it's likely that these two things are related. And so then we'll be able to get veterans benefits. And so that is literally one of the hardest parts for us sometimes, is that we do not have the information that we need to help the veteran. And it's kind of a challenge, because I've had veterans where it's taken an entire year for them to go to see their doctors, to get a diagnosis, to then talk the doctor into writing a nexus letter. And and then once we submit the claim, it's the waiting game of, also hoping that the VA
paperwork
is paying attention. And so that they see that they're reading our argument that we're making, or that they're passing along the diagnosis that we've submitted, the medical paperwork that we've submitted, because a lot of time, a lot of stuff that's happening is that during the claims process, the VA is dropping the ball, and they're not sending the medical records to the provider or to the VA compensation examiner. And so the process gets messed up. And that's why we're so important in the process too, because me specifically, I try to check my claims, my veterans claims every day. So if something comes up that is, that was, I don't know, that the VA realized they didn't have this.
How many cases do you have? I asked the question earlier about comparing to caseworkers. How many cases do you typically carry on your desk. Just creating this image of piles. And on top of that, early on there, you said something to the effect of that it goes all the way down to your knees and ankles are injured. And that can be a case that receives some or no benefit or some benefit. I mean, it goes all the way down to that point from marching. I'm just
right. Yeah. And so a lot of so for a lot of veterans, and this is new veterans too, they're just not going to the sick call. And so for if there's any, active service members that, any of the listeners know that, are still in, make sure they know to document everything. I mean, luckily when I was in, I was under the wing of this, Sergeant First Class that, had been in the military, I think 15 years at that point. And so he guided me to say, hey, if you stub your toe, go to sick call, get it documented. If you twist your knee, don't just rub dirt on it, go to sick call, get it documented. It's going to matter later. And unfortunately, there's a lot of veterans, from World War II all the way to, present day that believe that they need to just push through because, that's the Army and that's the Marines and that's whatever. And so, which is putting them in a bad spot now after, years of serving and then now trying to live their life and they have, a bad back and bad knees and stuff like that. Like, I'm a VSO because I had to leave a physical job that I was in because my back is my service connected back issue. And that's so many veterans out there that have to leave a job that they love because their service connected condition has become so bad, or their not yet service connected condition has become so bad that they need help. And that's why we're so, when it comes to claims and stuff like that, that's why I'm as, I guess, I don't know, intense as I am with claims where I treat every veteran like they're my only veteran because I know how serious it is to suffer from a chronic illness or a chronic injury and to lose everything because, I had to leave a very high paying job because I couldn't do it anymore. And I ended up in a bad spot. And the reason I tell this story is because I want people to know that there's people out there, there's VSOs out there that have been in their position. And I want to make sure that they know that I'm going to do whatever it takes to take care of that.
You bring up a really good point there. By the way, thank you, Nick. I appreciate the question. It's awesome. And we already talked about ROTS, ROTT, like RODD. He's regular on the show. He's really, I think he's a lawyer. Anyway, Jennifer here has got a great question as far as how long, what you're talking about, that fighting that you're going through, there's process time. And you mentioned it. You got to wait. You've heard people going a year through the process just to get the approval from the doctor. How long does it usually take to process an applications or applications? That's why I was kind of wondering how much workload, day in, day out, checking for what's happening and making sure that's pushing through. Those two things are kind of tied. How long does the process take, though?
So from the time of submitting a claim, like a disability claim, it can be it can take anywhere between 3 to 5 months on average. Again, this is just average, so it could take longer. I have some claims that take a couple years. I've had some claims that have taken a month, but on average, it's usually basically like we submit the claim. Within a couple weeks, they get called for their examination, and then it takes a couple weeks for that the results to get sent in, and for the VA to acknowledge that they got the results from the VA exam, and then from that point, from the time that the VA receives the exam paperwork, it's approximately 3 months before it gets in front of a rater. Like the decision maker who says, okay, they're going to get 10% for this, they're going to get 20% for this, and they're going to be 30% for this, or whatever. And so it can take like on average 5 months, but again, it can take shorter or longer. It depends on how complicated the claim is, how
Yes.
much development the VA needs to do on the claim, how much information that we might need to submit after the fact, like that the VA says, oh, well, we reached out to your hospital that you go to for your treatment, but they never responded. So they now put it on the veteran to get the information. And then, so what I'll have to do is I'll bring the veteran in, we'll download the information, and then we'll submit submit it. But then that adds a month or 2 or 3 onto the length of how long it takes for the claim to go get processed.
You want to hear something? You want to hear something? I was really curious about that as well, because I told you producer Barbie and myself have both gone through that process. And my father actually had to move. Well, he didn't have to, but he moved from Tennessee, where he lived, to California, where we lived, and we walked him through. His case took 2 years, and he left Virginia because he couldn't get. And we knew about just stuff by checking. My dad couldn't. The technology, little Alzheimer's coming, skin rashes that almost killed him, and he was being told to put on the wrong kind of cream. But the case took 2 years. So when you say, I get what you said, depending on how complicated it is, and that was only after he came out here to California. Long Beach is probably one of the better, but that's a big bulky system that people like you have to really kind of, you said before, cover for each other, but not more, but take load off and almost triage, right? That's a good
right.
word.
Yeah,
triage.
absolutely.
Yeah. So how long, how Ronaldo asked this earlier, Jennifer's kind of re-bringing this up. Obviously family members make the numbers double at least, or more. As people are going on, how do they get that? You kind of answered this question, but because we don't know where she lives, we know what needs to be done. So simply the contact information, you call, text, or email, and you could pass that along, right? Anything you want to add to that I missed? Because your contact information's down here. Go ahead.
If a veteran is married and has qualifying dependents, those dependents being either under the age of 18, or if they're permanently disabled before the age of 18, they can qualify to get either additional assistance in regards to compensation on a disability. Survivor benefits are always available too, depending on time in service and service-connected rated disabilities. And that would also go for dependents and qualifying dependents.
And that includes covering like college tuitions. I mean, there's a lot of benefits that family members
for education. Absolutely.
Yeah, but but again, there's limitations, and I mean, we could we could spend days talking about this. So I mean, if somebody has like a specific question, like if they want to reach out, please do, and we can talk them through it, because it's hard to. Because every veteran is different, every family member situation is different, every student's different. I mean, so there's different, there's different issues that we might have to face.
Are we worried about being in the weeds again here, my friend?
Yeah.
Because no, I get it.
There's one student could have 10 different problems that, or 10 different students could have, 10 different problems of like what we need to talk to them about to make sure that they're eligible for the benefits.
They're all eligible. You just got to go through it. And it's not you doing all of it for our friend in Colorado and our friend in South Carolina and all that. But that stuff is out there. I came off of Jennifer's number here, our question, because the next one is even cooler. I mean, these questions are getting better and better, and we still have a lot of them. Don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining, but I'm surprised so many people are still here after an hour and 40 minutes. That's pretty impressive. Well, actually, I just said that there's 164 people on here. So they just, after an hour, people, my lunch hour is over. I got to drop off. I come back. That's why I was hammering you on information, which you did. And I shouldn't have said hammering because they didn't really hammer you. But that is anything that we have a mix without going into the weeds, right? Just get the similar organization in whatever their state, at least, if not county, depending. That's how they go and get that. And it's important to have that support, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there I wanted to do the Tobias, thank you. Is there a directory of veterans-owned businesses in the area?
So I have a hard copy of one. So we work with
okay.
Yeah. So unfortunately, we work with a veteran-owned business group. I think you already talked about it. Oh, Rosie's. Was it on this? The third Monday.
Rosie's. The name's Rosie's.
Yeah, like Rosie the Riveter.
Oh, what kind of business is it?
Rosie's Diner.
Yeah, it's a diner. And
I love that. I thought that's what it was.
So every third Monday we go to a veteran-owned business meeting, and so what her name is she's a realtor, and her name is Jennifer Sloan, and she's from Keller Williams. Anyway, so she started this business group, or veteran-owned business group, and so it's all these veteran-owned businesses that have gotten together, and they have a little pamphlet. I've wanted to get a digital copy of it, I think, and because I think she's added to it since, so that we could put it on our website. Because we're trying to do more in terms of outreach and getting all the veteran-owned businesses in town.
That's part of the outreach that you do then.
Yeah.
That's part of the thing we haven't really got into with these events. But this is another outreach program, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Is there one for employ veterans?
We don't have a particular.
I know
list,
they're out there, but sorry.
We have dealt with like smaller organizations and even larger ones that will do fast tracking for hiring of veterans.
Okay.
One of those being like our local Home Depot, their distribution center said, hey, you know what, we can fast track hiring veterans. Metro already does that, where they get veteran preference and things of that nature. Obviously, we're trying to reach out to more organizations and local businesses to do that same process. But we also want to make sure that in part of our community partnership that we're sending them applicants that are going to be great employees. So we want to make sure that we're giving them resources on how to do interviews, how to build a resume,
the potential employee, potential your training. Gotcha.
Exactly. So we have resources to kind of guide them along that process, because sometimes, when you look at your military experience and try to tie it to, well, what does an everyday civilian job look like? It doesn't match up, right? So how do we change that over to make sense?
I only reacted that way because I have an example. I don't know if I told you our backstory, but about a year and a half ago, I started winding down, actually almost a couple of years ago, a machinery business that I spent 40 years building. We had 20 some odd employees, and we employed a lot of people. And starting from the original company in California, just by luck, and there's a lot of service personnel that, if you're on the battlefield, but there's a lot of support. I hired a guy that was a nuclear submarine engineer, electrical engineer, freaking one of the greatest engineers that we had in our company. And so it's interesting. You're right. Absolutely. And I assume you work with the descriptions of those titles, because there's some today, especially, I mean, the way the world is going, there's probably a lot more already trained. And you know how expensive it is to train somebody as an employee. Yeah. You got to have the basics. I mean, college is great, but I mean, there's people coming out of the military that just, when it comes to, people are flying planes and they're 19-year-old Air Force guys, right? Yeah. Or gals, right? I mean, there's a lot of stuff there. So that's why I asked as far as the where we can, where there may be you're training the potential employee, but where do people go that get it? that there's some value in that if it all matches up. Like you said, it's got to match up, of course. But do you also do that? Like, hey, call you guys because how that works on the. You know how it works. You're an agency, so you call you again. Either way, both sides.
Give us a buzz because we know the people that can help them get good, gainful employment and gainful employment skills on top of their service and how it translates to the civilian sector.
Talk about IDES.
No, so we actually partnered.
IDES.
Yep.
That's the Illinois Department of Education Services.
Employment Services.
Oh, employment service. Yeah.
So they have a veteran coordinator who specifically that we work with that we can refer veterans to help build that. And then even if they're looking to, deal with other organizations too, because maybe they need, maybe IDES isn't right for them. We've got other folks that will do hands-on computer training that will help them if they have certain disabilities, whether it's vision or physical or things of that nature, to help them adapt to. So that's part of our resource network in our community partnership.
So is in just building off of that, how do you train? I mean, there's a program. I mean, obviously you're drawn to this because like we talked about, nurses are drawn to a profession because of how they're built. Firefighters, assistant teachers, you go on and on. It's not a perfect 100%, but at the end of the day, that's what draws you. What educational process do you guys go? I know there's different things, but as general, what somebody's asking here, Matt, maybe he's looking at something in that range, right? So Matt, how does that work? What's your educational program?
So part of what it is we use our, prior experiences, whether it was, prior employment, our service experiences and things of that nature to translate it. But we do, like I said, we go through national associations of county veteran service officers, and we do continuing education through them. So we go to national and local conferences. We stay, updated through legislation changes, and then we do have the accessibility through outside nonprofit organizations to do peer-to-peer certifications or peer-to-peer, education services. And one I'll say, for instance, VOA Illinois, which is Volunteers of America Illinois, under the Staff Sergeant Fox grant, is able to provide Talk Saves Lives, which is like an introductory course to suicide prevention. So you look at like signs and symptoms and how to have that conversation piece. But then there's also the advanced certification that they provide, which is Safe Talk. So if you are encountering somebody that is struggling with suicide ideation or self-harm,
what's the difference? What's the difference there?
So suicide ideation, you're more so thinking of like
you're just seeing it and reporting it.
Oh, for us, or what's the difference?
Well, no, those two programs you just talked about.
So Talk Saves Lives is more of an introductory. It's about what you're looking for in the signs and symptoms.
Oh, gotcha.
Kind of keep an eye on. Okay, well, these are concerning things. Whereas Safe Talk is specifically, as a mandatory reporter, how do you go about ensuring that they are in the safest place possible, and how to contact and who to contact in those cases. So we work with programs like that to keep ourselves very up to date, and intact on not only, generalized information, but mental health services as well.
Yeah, those mental health services are critical. How the heck do you keep this database all together? I'm listening to. I mean, I know you guys already talked about it. You're a fanatic, I guess, Sarah. But that's a lot, and I assume everybody has to do that. Plus the national, and there's a lot of that organization that needs to go through. That's got to be.
So Sarah created the longest Excel document I've ever read in my life, and she highlights it a certain way depending on what it is, and so there's a whole color coordinating thing of like what they do, and then the contact info, and then some more contact info, and it's insane what she's been able to create. I'm impressed. It is easy to read. There's just a lot of
Yeah.
information on there. So I find myself staring at it for an hour trying to look for the thing that I need. So that's why I usually just call her and like, hey, I need this. And she tells me where to go.
I got an automation. Oh, sorry. You're the automation, Sarah. I'm into the automation and stuff. And you need to plug in automation, which Excel spreadsheets come and eliminated, serve those things. But you need a spreadsheet that when she enters it in, it categorizes it. And then all you got to do is say, hey, what about Rosie's? And it'll light up,
Yeah.
and that's the future of the world. How do local businesses, like you just talked about, veterans-owned businesses, you can build off of that?
I wanted to touch base on that that other thing about becoming a VSO. Oh no, there was that one, but then there was another one. I think it was before that.
Did I miss?
Basically, how do you like we educate? Half it is like most of the successful VSOs that I've seen are veterans that have basically fought the process. That have, because I spent 10 years fighting the VA on certain things that, to fighting to get, my benefits, and that helps. And then of course there's, the education that she said through IAC, VAC, and then NAC VSO. And then of course, just ongoing continuing education that we do. So yeah, I just wanted to touch base on that, because if there's anybody interested in becoming a VSO, again, please contact me. I'll tell you my process of how I did it. I mean, really though, it's finding a local VAC, like Veterans Assistance Commission or Veteran Services, that's looking to hire. And then they will teach you how to, like, the specifics of the things that you need to know. So that you can best serve the veterans and stuff like that. And I mean, really, that's what we're trying to do, is that we're, we try to educate our veterans as best we can when we have them in front of us. But in regards to kind of going out there on your own, because I've had a couple of my veterans that appreciated what I did for them and wanted to, focus their own, do their own thing, do their own part of it. And so
it becomes a mission. It becomes a mission. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're passing that by, what do they call it? Pay it forward.
Paying it forward. Yeah, that's what I basically say it every time. Says, well, can I do something for you? And I'm like, just pay it forward, man. Just tell people about us. Tell them to not pay for their benefits. Blah blah blah. Like, this is what we need. This is how we best serve our veterans.
That is awesome. And in that local business thing, because that's interesting. There's, small business is a big deal, and that's what builds this country, our economy. Made that tougher than it should have been. At the end of the day, how is it back to those organizations you work with? Again, it's like citizen like business, right?
Mm-hmm. So local businesses, I mean, there's so many opportunities that they have. They can either, provide a discounted service for veterans. Generally, I like free 99.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not going to complain.
What's free 99?
So if they're going to provide a veteran or like their spouse a free service, I call it free 99.
Gotcha. Okay.
Or the 5-finger discount.
It's got to be legal. Yeah, you don't want to get a veteran running down the street with somebody going, "Wait!"
So generally, we'll refer veterans to, get low cost services or free services for the most part. But if a local business can do a significant discount, or even if it's as simple as, we are happy to open our doors, and if you guys want to host an event, come on in. It's sometimes the small things that
at your place.
Yep, at their place. So if it is, as the questions you've got, like churches or civic groups, if they have a space that they can open their doors, and we can invite folks in and do an event. If it's like, hey, you know what, it's a spa or a restaurant or whatever, you can utilize our space and we can provide X, Y, and Z. That's awesome. That would be beneficial for us, because then we can have veterans.
It would be designed around something that, whatever that service of that store. I mean, what kind of programs? So if I opened up the doors here, we could have an event. What would that look? What kind of thing would you do?
I mean, it's
I'm not
variable.
trying to pin you down. I'm not trying to pin you down.
There's so many
it's veritable.
I'm not.
So
part of it is maybe I invite, one of our community partners to provide
there you go.
like a recreational activity. Maybe it's yoga, maybe it's like breathing techniques, maybe it's a peer-to-peer certification course, or maybe it's, hey, let's do a little resource fair where, we open the doors and veterans and their families can come on in and they can talk to everybody that's accessible to giving out services or information. We have just so many opportunities because we look at the whole of the veteran, and what affects a veteran in their day-to-day life. It's their family, it's their connection to the community. It's, having, gainful job employment, their mental health services, and sometimes it's just taking them out of that space and saying, you know what, I like going fishing. I want to go and sit with other people that like fishing. Sometimes it's the little things like that. And
communities.
That's the important part, is we want to reconnect them to that.
Yeah.
And
meaning you're reconnecting the veterans that we're talking about back to a community event that's tied to, I'm a fisherman, I want to hang out with some fishermen. That kind of thing is what you're referring to, correct?
Yeah. And then we can even do something like, where we can sit down and, have conversations one-on-one about, okay, let's do a little bit of that triage and let's do a little bit of that digging on what you need to be successful and happy. That's what we want as individuals.
Would that be like a round? Would you do that in like a round robin? Not a round robin, a circle, like
a round table?
Have a group. It's a round table, or when you go to an AA meeting, or I'm exposing some things here, or you go to one of the, there's 20, 10 people. Sometimes they're lined up in an audience, and sometimes around it. Is that what you're talking about? Where you put them around and talk about the things that where they need to go? Is that what you were just saying? As an event, I mean.
As an event, we could. Or if you have office spaces and you're saying, hey, you know what? If you want to come in and park yourself down, and they could have one-on-one conversations with a veteran service officer, to kind of get an idea of how to build their claims or what resources are available, we could do that too.
Oh, so you're saying, you have an office. They could go there. You're also saying you could, if I have extra offices, I could say, here, Monday through Friday, whatever schedule. Here's this office you can have. Is that a thing needed?
Sometimes. Really.
Sometimes it's about accessibility.
And, yeah. No, I get it.
Maybe,
but you're county to county.
So maybe they're having transportation issues. Maybe they're not physically able to, and I don't want to turn somebody away just because they can't make it to our office all the time. It's just not practical for everybody.
And if they're around the corner from XYZ, boom, they can get there a lot easier. You know what? I was just thinking, and the reason I said it, we still have some questions. You guys are still okay, right?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Oh, you guys are going to break a record. I'm telling you right now. We're at an hour and 50. We're
very talkative here, and we have a lot to say. So yeah, like I said, we could talk.
We have a little bit. We have a bit more to go, but we're at an hour and 58 minutes and 10, 11, 12 seconds. Our record right now, I don't remember it. 2 hours and 24 minutes. I bet you want to put you. Hey, I got a hamburger on. You break the record. You up for it?
Well, let's see where the questions go.
No.
We're going to cut it at 23 minutes for you.
Yeah.
No, it's worse than that, because I can, I've got a little bit of sway here. I can extend thing, and you're starting to sweat at 21 minutes. And you don't want to give up that burger. So I got an advantage here. I'm not a dumb man. So loving this episode, so real and so needed. 100%. Absolutely. Okay. Here's pat on the back time. We love you. By the way, before I go on, because these are some pretty quick, easy things. The reason I kind of dove into that a little bit deeper because I'm kind of weird. But realistically, the reason I'm interested in that is because that's a service. I mean, well, first of all, I've got desks available. I've redone my business model. So but okay, that's cool. Let's talk about it. But technology wise, I think I could pull it off. And that's why I said about the round table, because I've got what's called so I'm in a studio. I've got a couple of other offices across the hall over there. And then I've got beyond that is my actual office where I do boring crap work. I try and stay on this as much as I can. And then around that's accounting. So blah, blah, blah. But in the Shark Tank, I don't know how I could do this. Turn the camera around, have 10 vets in there or whatever. When you said that, I thought, oh, why don't we air that? That would be doable. I'd have to change a couple things around. Besides, I get to show off the rest of the office because there's really cool colors back there I'm cheap. I don't have money, so that's all I get to see. So you do me a favor and let me have a reason without being accused of a show off, of pointing the camera out there. And what you guys, let's keep in contact, because that might be a program that would it could almost turn into a program. We have classes, we teach people AI. That would be a good little thing too, because there's an AI world coming faster and faster and faster. You guys know that. You guys are young. You guys are on the wave. That wave passed me. Like I can barely. Well, I was going to say, because everybody else got this wave coming, going, holy, what do I do? Because it's going to change the world. It already has, but it has where we can handle it. Mm-hmm. And then the wave crashed on you right about now, because it's taken that next level. It's like a rock gaining momentum, a boulder gaining momentum as it's going down the hill. It gets bigger and bigger. So we have a class for that, to talk like this instead of like techies, because I know you got to know technology is actually easy. There's no code technology. Anyway, I don't want to get into that whole subject, but that would be kind of a cool class, one that they could do. But there could be, you have a radio show. It's only 15 minutes, but it'd be kind of interesting to maybe work some other things. I like doing this stuff,
I'd like to, honestly, if you were willing to, kind of spotlight or showcase.
I brought it up, dude. I brought it up.
Partners or our,
come up with some ideas.
Own businesses. I mean, that would be great. I mean,
that would be kind of cool as a series. Like I do a Morning Joe, which I don't like that name. So Coffee and Tea Time, and it's open discussion, and it's just people calling in. We have shows about this. Okay, we got this. People are like, okay, Rod, shut the fuck up. I got to get out of here. So we still got 80 people though. We're not. Well, okay. You should have got that. You should have made that bet. I'm not feeling as confident, cocky as I was. So yeah, I mean, think about a series. Sarah, I mean, I don't know who does that, but it's not a complicated. Okay, it's not a complicated. It's not a difficult thing to do. Is that right? It's simple, but takes a little bit of work, right? I mean, I don't want to poo-poo that. But we have a morning coffee series. We have this show, then we have an industrial side, and then we have playlists that include things like inner strength, inner building. The human experience. And in that, I'm a poet. I have like 2,000 poems and a couple of books and all that. Whole nother story. But then I'm looking for a voiceover person to read some more, because I'm putting those poems in there. And then we have an industrial section. So this is really an important thing that we could do, and we could make that an isolated playlist, live, but it's always going to this channel. Help your vet. Be an American. grow the fuck up, help out, whatever you want to name it. Great show here. You guys are amazing, and you already knew that. And so, Adam, thank you for saying Adam Wayne. Was it like a Batman Wayne? Adam, right? Wasn't Batman
Bruce Wayne and
Bruce Wayne?
Adam West was Batman. See
how my mind is? I added those. Maybe he thinks he's both of them combined. That'd be cool. Mac, insightful, inspiring, great job. Hey, whoa. That's about me, man. As bad as I did today, Mac has given me a great job there. Really, great job, guys. Seriously, no. All kidding aside, this has been. As I talked to you on the phone, as we talked on the phone, I said this is going to be fun. This is going to be a great program. I did not expect it to be so well thirsted for. That makes sense, and it's obvious because I mean I'd say we had. Whenever I scroll up and hit the top and then the bar clicks back down and another set goes, I've never done that before, as popular as this show is. So great job, guys. I'm sorry, folks, kids. Great job here.
VAC kids.
the VAC kids.
I'm sorry. Hey, VAC family. Great job. The next one is really enjoying this. Thank you, Barbie. Oh, okay. Thanks, James. You know, there's other people here, James. Okay, fine. Barbie. Producer Barbie, great job. I wonder if she's here. She usually is. That's it. Besides that, and then here's our. So give her a hand on Oklahoma. That's where Mom lives. And I bet you she said that because she knows that's where I want the show to go. I have grandchildren, and they're over there. And I'm landlocked in my business. Yeah, I'm landlocked with the business I told you I started unwinding. Last contract I canceled about a month ago because we better do the show quick because I don't know. I'm trying to push harder to get out there, and then while I'm here, we can do our thing. Unless you want to go to Oklahoma or
I'm okay. Thank you.
I spent a year in Oklahoma. I don't not want to go back.
Good? You good with a like a society and a city and
But the potentials are a little bit better here.
Yeah, a little different, right? All right, so that was a great show, folks. I appreciate you sticking with me because it's a challenge to talk for 2 hours, and you guys know that, so I'm not just whining like a little baby here. And I appreciate everything you did. Sarah, whoever's setting that up, when you guys get over here, I'll have burgers for you. Okay. I'll have them laid out and we'll have a lunch thing or something going on. I promise you, we'll make it a little fun thing as long as it doesn't break the bank. So any last words, you guys? Any last words before you say bye to all your fans? Look at that.
Quick.
There's still a freaking 100 people on this show. If they start to go down, and now there's still 100 people. 4 more just came on. So I guess they're getting their second win. I guess they're saying, hey, I guess those guys haven't been able to get rid of Rod yet. So, oh my God, another 20 people just came on. Wow. Go ahead.
All I want to say is, if anybody has,
I may not want you to leave. I may not want you to leave now. Forget it. I'm getting viewers.
We already made the burger mark. We're good.
Yeah, we hit the burger mark. No, but I just want to make sure that anybody that has any questions, about anything we talked about, veteran services related, just any question that may have, please have them reach out to us. We're more than welcome to take the time and talk to them for 2 hours and 9 minutes, whatever it takes. And you haven't hit the burger mark. It's 2 hours and 23 minutes. Sorry. Then
I'm still buying the burgers.
But no, I want to make sure that our information's in the comments section. If anybody has any questions about anything, if anybody has any questions about resources, Sarah she truly is a guru. We are so grateful at our organization to have her. And we have, I mean, across the board, anything that a veteran could possibly need, we are building contacts for. So, and it's something that could translate to different states too. So, if they have any questions whatsoever, best way to contact me is through email, because I can check it anytime, and it's it better helps me track conversations too.
Sure.
But yeah, please just if any questions about family,
your
friends,
email's on there, right?
whatever.
Your email's on there, right?
Yeah, that should be.
Kendall, I have your email too, but I thought that was one of the things.
Oh,
you guys
no,
put on there.
no, it's not.
Okay, yeah, I didn't see it. So I'll tell you what. Why don't you kick it over to Sara? Give her, if that's the way it works. I don't want to step out of line here. Put yours in. Say your last remarks. Wave everybody. I'm going to kick your ass over to the green room and have some final remarks, and then I'll hang out. I'll come back to you. Let's stay in touch.
All right.
Okay. So Sara, you're on stage. You're fire. Go. While your man is hitting, and I didn't mean anything. I didn't mean anything by that. I didn't mean anything by that. I didn't mean anything by that.
Let's not get me in trouble. I like having a job.
All right. So
no, but thank you. I mean, honestly, we are looking always to expand our network. So if you are a small business or a local business, looking to provide services, give us a buzz. If you're looking for events, check out our website. We have all our upcoming events listed, and then follow us on social media. Best way to go.
Cool.
And then we'll go from there.
How much social media do you guys do?
It's a work in progress, but we do have a Facebook and an Instagram. And the nice part about it is we try to give resources out regardless of if it's Kendall or not, because the veteran community is small and we know veterans travel. So we always are looking to support other veteran events or resources. So we are always happy to highlight those things. And then we always share what we do locally.
We had a collaborator, you know how you trade, and send stuff around, because we do. I think I'm an awesome podcaster. What I really am is a really good marketer. And social media, I mentioned earlier automation. That would be kind of, because that gets stuff around really quick. If you're, what did you say? Still on the, still growing or still pulling it together and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get on each other's stuff. I'm on Instagram, TikTok. As a matter of fact, you're running live right now to LinkedIn, to obviously to YouTube, to X, to Instagram. And I did a test earlier, but I didn't have enough time to test it. But we'll be going to Twitter. My system just sends it all out to the, you know what I mean? And it's all set up. And so we could play around with some stuff to help you out. I'm not trying to sound like a weirdo or a stalker or anything. I'm just saying it's an important cause. And it has, additionally to that, it has meaning to me personally. So, Let's stay in touch. Why don't you say why you got, look at it. Remember I said there's still 100 people because you were talking and I shut up. There's now 168 people on there. Wow. All right, I'll see. Now I'm talking. 3 just left. All right. I'm kicking you guys to the green room.
Yes.
And hang out for a second. If there's any final wrap we need to chat about, that's fine. I got a couple minutes here that I'm gonna try and not get everybody to leave, and then do the outro video that we do, and so wave to all your fans, my friends. Wave to your fans. Thank you guys so much. Great show.
Thank you.
Oh, that was close. Sara, I got it all in there. I really work hard to have my timing right, trying to be a professional, which happens. It does. There's a glimmer, there's a spark here and there. But one thing I'm really trying to work on, and I've actually done pretty good with it lately. I think I hesitated a little too much there. But sorry, Sara, I heard your comeback, your voice, and I think we caught that. Wasn't a great click though. I got to be honest with you. I told you guys. This is this show This show's not only critical, not this show. Well, this show, I'll say maybe, but this episode, these folks right here and the team that's with them, and I hope they're all watching, and I hope you guys are all passing our show around and subscribing and liking. Selfishly, I bring that up, but not selfishly. I mean, we're growing. We're getting about 200. What was their last? I think we're getting about 20 new subscribers every day on average. Our watch time hours are like 16,000 hours, and it's I like to hear the good things that the show is doing, but I really appreciate folks like the VAC children that came on at their time, because the mission they know is important, and they know they're pushing a boulder uphill. And like I said, if that momentum starts going the wrong way, you're going to get your ass run over. And that's a tough job to do, and yet they're drawn to that. And that's something that's got to be honored and supported and helped. This isn't a guilt thing or anything like that, but it is a moment in time where I think the world is, as this society, are starting to understand the real basics that keep. I go back to it again. A healthy middle class keeps and creates a strong America. The world needs a strong America, especially right now, especially all the time in history, right? There's weird stuff that has gone on that wouldn't be around, I don't think, if we didn't have the structure our founding fathers put together for us. So I dove into a bunch of other subjects there. I just want to say, you guys, I keep, wow, okay, you guys are kind of starting to get used to me now. Hey, VAC kids, 100. I watch numbers all the time. We're at 178 right now, so okay, I'm feeling a little better about myself. Hangout will be there in a second. As you know, this Insights and Straight Talk, and I wore, hold on, a special shirt today for the occasion. I don't know if how much you will get there, but you guys get what I'm saying. I know that was unprofessional, but too bad. And you guys know, I don't know if I think I told you guys. This show's first live airing streamed out, out to the world, was on Constitution Day in 2024, last year. So it's very exciting how this message, and not because of the message, but it's because of the experts that we're blessed enough to be able to either attract and find that way, or God puts a thing in your path and you're like, holy cow, I didn't know that. And then all of a sudden you're lit on fire. That's that's like a gut intuition. But again, just keep coming back to Insights and Straight Talk, because I'm Rod Duff. We have amazing expert guests that come in, and people dive that need each of those messages. And producer Barbie is out in California, so screw it, I'm out. Why aren't you stopping?
Before you leave, if you'd like to watch another one of the podcasts, click the first link in the description. We love having you here, and we appreciate all your support.
And with that, producer Barbie and I are out.